Hello, everyone. It's me, Mrs. Gronert, and today is Think About It Thursday. It's the fourth day of STEAM Week, and today's challenge is to build a robot that has at least one moving part. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. Let's take a look at what we need to complete this activity. So you'll need paper and cardboard. Old cardboard food boxes work very well for this project. Tape, glue, brads, which are these really cool metal fasteners you can use to fasten the paper together, foil, scissors, and any other materials your teacher has for you. Okay, let's think about what we need to do to complete this challenge. So, first, we're going to think and plan. How will we build a robot that has at least one moving part? What materials will we use? What shapes will we use to build the robot? Once you've thought about all of these things, your job will be to make a plan. Then, build your robot. Remember, if something's not working, it's okay. Just try again. You'll have a lot of time to work on completing your robot today. Okay, before we get started thinking about a plan for the robot, I want to show you some simple and easy ways we can make movable parts for our robots. Okay, ready? First, I'll show you these really cool fasteners. These little fasteners are called brads, and I can use them to make moving parts with my robot. What I do is I take my paper or my thin cardboard and I just push them through. If you have a hard time pushing these little brads through, your teacher can help, or you can use a hole puncher to poke a hole. I'm just going to use my fingers, so I'm going to push the sharp end of my brad through the paper, just like that. Look at that. Oh, there it is. Can you see that? And then I'm going to do the same thing to one other piece of paper. Oh, this is going to be so cool because once I'm done, I will have a part that moves. There it is. Do you see that brad came through? Now I take the two end pieces of my brad and I press them down on each side. Look at that. And now take a look at what I have. I have a part that moves. Isn't that awesome? I love it. These brads are so fun, and you can make all sorts of different parts of your robot move if you use these. Another way you can make a movable part is to create a bouncing spring. I'm going to show you a simple way to do that right now. What you'll need is 2 strips of paper. Then you're going to want to glue them at a 90-degree angle. So I'll start with that. I'm going to take my glue and just glue those 2 pieces together at a 90-degree angle. So I'll put my glue on there. And here we go. Then add this piece and hold and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now I fold. This is so cool and fun. So first I'm going to fold the bottom piece over the top like that. Then I'm going to fold this piece over the top. Look at that. Pretty fun, huh? And I'm going to do it again. This piece and this piece. It's easy to tell which piece I need to use because I use 2 colors, black, green, black, green. Look at that. And I'm just folding and folding. But what's going to happen is really cool. I'm making a little bouncing paper spring over the top. Just keep folding the same way. Super simple. There we go. And over the top, there it is. Now, I have a little bit of extra pieces on my end, so I'm just going to cut that. Boom, boom. I want to glue those top two pieces together, just like I did with the bottom. And now, watch this. It's really fun. Boing. And if I put it on my hand, boing. That's fun. Maybe I could use something like this on my robot. Now, I have one other very simple way to show you to make different paper parts move. I'm going to make a paper slider. So I'll just use two different pieces of paper here. First, I'll cut them so that they're the same. I'm going to cut a rectangle shape. I think that'll be a really good shape to use to make my paper slider. So now I have a rectangle shape. And I think I want this one to be a little bit longer. So I'm going to make this piece longer and thinner because I'm making a pull apart piece. So I need to cut it so it's a little bit smaller. So I'm going to cut it like this. Oh, perfect. Look at that. That's good. So notice this rectangle is wider and shorter than this rectangle. Now I need to take this rectangle and fold it in half. Then I'm going to make two cuts that don't go all the way through. Ready? Just like this. Watch. Not all the way through. There we go. And another one here. There we go. Perfect. See that? Now I'm going to open that up and slide this rectangle through. Now look. I have a paper slider. Look at that. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I could attach that to my robot. Maybe I could write something on it. Great. Now that you know 3 different ways to make movable parts, think about how will you make your robot move? What supplies will you use to create your robot? Once you've thought of that, I want you to write that down here on your engineering plan. Draw the different materials you plan to use, and then draw a picture of what your robot will look like and how you're going to make it move. I'm going to do that right now, and I'll show you when I finish. Okay, I just finished my plan. I plan to use brads, glue, tape, a box, and some paper to make my robot. I thought that I would put brads on the arms so that they could move. I also wanted to use the springy paper for the legs. That way my robot might be able to move 2 ways. I also really want to try to make its head move. So I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to attach the head with a brad to another box. That sounds tricky. I wonder if you could make a robot with a wheel. That would be cool too. But I'm going to go ahead and try this. I also wanted to make one of the paper moving pieces across the front of my robot. Okay, I'm going to get started building my robot. I think I'll cover the boxes with paper and do some other things to make it look pretty cool. I'll show you after I get a little bit of my robot completed. Okay, I have a lot of my robot completed. Take a look. I taped the arm on like this, but I thought that I would use that brad to make this part of the arm move. I was also able to add a brad here, and watch what I did. Burm, 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 burm. I have 2 sides of my robot's head. That was so fun. Look, I have a happy robot and burm, burm, burm. This guy's a little bit mad. That was fun. I also made a paper slider. So if you notice, I have some holes there. And watch what my robot can do now. If I push the paper through, here we go, just like this, I can say my robot is, uh-oh, it's upside down. There we go. Push my paper through. My robot can be turned on or off. So I was able to make a paper slider, and look, I gave him some bouncy legs. Now I just have to attach this one. That one I can attach with tape. I think that'll be a really good way to stick it on. I'll go ahead and finish my robot, and I'll show you when I'm all done. There we go. My robot is done. Take a look. He can bounce. Bring, 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 bring. That's pretty fun. His little arms move. Burp, burp, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. And he can be turned on or off. Ring, beep, 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 beep. I really like my robot. He's a lot of fun. Now I can play with him a little bit. I also want to think about what I did. So here are some questions to think about when you finish. Were you able to build a robot with at least one moving part? Yes. What part of your robot is movable? How did you make it move? What shapes did you use to build your robot? What was hard? Is there anything you would do differently if you built your robot again? Those are all fun questions to think about. While you're thinking about those, you also get to do some writing. Draw a picture of your finished robot and maybe write a little story about your robot. What does your robot do? What does your robot like? I don't know. What does your robot look like? Then think about and answer some of the thinking questions. What was hard about building the robot? For me, the hardest part of building my robot was that I really wanted to try to use foil on my robot, but every time I put the foil on, it just got all messed up. So I decided I'd use paper instead. I'm very happy that I used paper because that foil was not working for me this time. Also, think about if you built your robot again, what would you do differently? Could you make your robot better, or would you just make it differently? I hope you have a lot of fun with Thursday's challenge this week, and I hope to see you again very soon.